Hey everyone, today I'll be explaining how to do a 2020 Outlander radiator relocation kit. So at this point I got both the radiator and fan out. I found I didn't have to take my plastics off so far. All I did was I came up through the back of here with my wrench, and I came up through the top where this notch is with my socket, and I had plenty of room to get my fan out of there. Next I'll be taking everything out of the box, setting it out, and building my radiator. I'll kind of put pictures as that goes along and how I did it by step. Couldn't really find much online, a good breakdown, so I'm just doing this by myself and I don't have one else to hold the camera. So I'll give it to you as I can and I'll do as best I can. Alright guys, I started by lining everything out, just using my truck bed actually. Put some bubble wrap that came with my stuff to keep it off the bed. Just lining it all out so that way I have all my parts. I'm going to start off by the little grommets. Start with my pieces, get my actual radiator bolted in. Got my brackets on each side. Try to separate it out as easily. Got your coolant jug for your relocation. Got everything else. I also went through and bought all new hose clamps because I didn't like, let's see where they are, there. These little stock crimp clamps, I didn't like them, so I went out and bought real hose clamps. So I got my spacers on, my rubber mounts in. I use my factory bolts just right down through on all four corners. Make sure they're nice. Next, dig out your 4 clips out of the bag. Install them on the opposite side so that way you can bolt them down through here. Okay guys, I got it all mocked in there so far. It is really hard getting it in there with these because you have to tighten these down first because there's just no way to get, because it is a, let's see, T27 for these star bit bolts. Yeah, I did this to get it in there was I found that I used my ribs and my body to kind of spread these two out at the sides as I tipped it up and just kind of worked its way down. So now that I got it flipped back over to the face side, you take these long 4 bolts, you go down through with the washer, and you hit that on the back side where you put them clips earlier. Alright guys, it's the next day. I ended up quitting yesterday. It started getting dark quick, and all I have is this one light. So today I came back out trying to see about moving this reservoir. And with your stock plastics on, it's about near impossible. So I have to pull all my rack and my plastics. So to do that, you got your 2 bolts, one down here. There's going to be 2 underneath your winch point on each side. There's going to be 1 right here. And then there's also another one when you come through here connecting down. I also have the wild boar foot pegs done so I can clear my big tires. Works great. And that also changes how these are clipped on. These are kind of like tabs. You have to kind of push them up through. And there's also another tab here that you have to take off before taking off. Alright guys, I'm actually going to retract my previous statement. The rack wasn't that hard. I took it off. There was the 2 underneath, like I said. There was a 2 on the side of the actual metal rack. And then there was this one. I can't really actually get it underneath there. But right here on the inside of your headlights, there's 1 on each side. And then there's actually 1, because I had the plastics underneath this bracket. Okay, I also found out this center can actually just be pulled off. You grab it from down here at the front and back at the top, and you just pull right towards the front of the machine. There's only this clip there, that clip there, and this here holding it there. Now seeing this is all open, these just unhook here, unhook these two tabs, and this whole bar will come out of here. And that's just something that we can throw out of there. It's now useless. So at this point, I'm not seeing any better way with or without the actual rest of the plastics. So I'm going to continue inspecting this, but I think I might be able to just get it without taking the rest of the plastics off, being that I don't want to pull my headlights and I don't want to take these brackets back off. Okay, so next I found that if you pinch down here on these lower tabs, they just pop down through this hole, and this will allow you the actual movement. There's these little tabs down here you pull out on, and that will actually give you full range of motion on this for right this very moment. Just at least now I can get back here with my big hands. I'll let you know when you're in a bit. Now with this moving, I'm able to actually get down in there and see this hose clamp for one side, and then the other side's just a little further down in there, and I can actually move this, now get in there a little bit. I still got a little bit more to wiggle room and figure out. I then found that there was two bolts, one there and one that I haven't got to. It actually is on the back side of the reservoir. I can't really get to it with my camera. There's actually another one down on like underneath your air intake that I am. Now that I got this completely loose and able to be moved, I actually had to take the air intake. There's a T bit, star bit on there. I'll let you know all the bits that I use when I'm done. But I was able to just take off the intake boot, get everything to move. I'm able to get that now. So now I'm going to work on the two hose clamps, getting my piece in there to connect that. Alright guys, this is not a very easy task. Right there is my second hose clamp. I'm using needle nose pliers just to rip these off. I have all new hose clamps. I'm actually going to use screwed on, not these clamp style that were provided. So just a second more, I'll have this out of the way. Alright, so I got the stock location out of the way. There's the other pipe. I got the other one just tucked out of the way so I had more room. I'm going to remove that hose clamp, put my two hose clamps on, and get that straight piece in there that came in the kit. When you're all done with that, you just slide these back in. As you can see, it just slides in that little tab. And then you just push these down in so it clips. Alright, and then when putting this back on, I found you kind of line up your lower piece where I showed you that hook. And then you kind of go for each side. And then you wiggle in, grab and wiggle in your tops. You know, just kind of wiggle up, make sure you're all nice and flush. Make sure it where it should be. And you're good to go. Next, I'll be putting on my metal and plastic racks again before I even drill my holes. I know that they're supposed to be like somewhere in here and somewhere in here, but with my rack on, I can guarantee my hose spots aren't gonna hit my rack, and because I have the big plastic rack. So I'd rather be a little more careful than not. So I'll be reassembling the front bumper and the top plastics now. So I have officially done this so far without pulling my side full plastics, because I just didn't want to mess with my wild boar foot pegs because these are sandwiched together. Okay, yeah, not like your guys' stock ones where they're clipped together. These are sandwiched, and I don't have another guy around to help me with the bolting of them. So I was really avoiding it, and I so far have done it. Alrighty, I got my holes cut out. I don't have a 3-inch hole saw or like a 2.5-inch hole saw of any kind, so I just used drill bits and a Dremel, and I just Dremeled it smooth as much as I could. Gave a little extra on this side because this is where the fan wiring goes through, and then just made sure that this would fit down through. You know, a little bit of wiggle room on each side, just that way it ain't super tight. But yeah, again, I just use my Dremel, just a cheap Dremel, and I use my drill to get down in there. And all I gotta do left is put on my actual steel rack, put the radiator rack on, see how the hoses fit down through, and finish hooking up underneath. Alright. Okay, I got my reservoir mounted. They have a little strap, bolts right here. I use the zip tie to tie up my wires out of the way. Use the zip tie over here just to tie them so that way they don't rub everywhere. Got everything fed down through, bolted down on each side. You got to bolt them on all four corners. I had to use the other bolts. I put the clips, they came with little clips, so that way you can screw this down. The only thing I got left is antifreeze itself and a few more things. I got to double check everything, make sure everything's tight, and I'll let you know how it is. So doing further research, I did this wrong. This goes down to the bottom of here, and then this one comes down around and should go underneath your plastics, or either way, it's just your vent, so it just has to come up in here roughly. I did that backwards though, so I just gotta change that. Okay, I couldn't find anything on how to put these together. So the best I could find is I'll do this one here, it's still not together, so you got that there, and you got this here. I came at it like this, and then I stretched it over the top. Once you got them together, you just literally pull and wiggle that through. Once you see it through the other side, you're done. And that way that can just hold down your strap. The only thing I didn't do is I haven't cut my pipe down yet, obviously. I need to cut that down to about in here, right after the area where it starts, just before this little bend. Comes out nice and straight, and then it starts bending. So just before that bend, you'll cut it. And I forgot to cut this bend over here, and it seems to be working fine. Might cut that out before I put antifreeze in still. Alright guys, I got this all set up on this side, and I did end up trimming this one just a little bit. Seemed to make it fit a little smoother. Alright, so at this point I've double checked everything. Everything should be tight and ready to go. I'm going to start putting fluid in, and I'm going to start running it and burping the system and get it all the way hot while all my inner plastics are still out, because that way I can check for any leaks, any drips, you know, any small, because over amount of time after a long ride, even just a tiny drip will end up draining your system. Alrighty guys, this is a finished product here. We got it all on. I'm about to start it, burping it and whatnot. I'm just going to pop off the plastic top. I just wanted to show everybody how it looks. So to get the top on, you literally just set your tabs down in here, and you just pull these, kind of like a pull clip. That's all these are. And you just slide it up over. Kind of fits snug. But that's your finished product, everyone. Hope you enjoyed. If you had any questions, I'll be able to answer them in my comments. Don't be afraid to ask. I know it's kind of not a very great video. I didn't have the plastics, you know, I already had the plastics taken off and everything else, so. Alrighty, this is my last update. It's starting to get pretty dark. As you can see, the only actual light is this bright ass LED. So I don't have any leaks. Everything's nice and dry, so that means I'm gonna start putting on my plastics again. I double checked underneath there before I put that back on. Everything's nice and dry over here. There she is. And then I ended up actually, on top of everything else, I gotta put this together because my big gun showed up. So I'm gonna finish that up. Fit pretty nice. That just bolted on up here onto the factory spot, down there on the factory spot. Just had to twist it to line everything up. Fit real nice and easy. So